This is the WYDE Weekly for July 12th, 2026. The plumbing of world money got official this week. SWIFT, the network that moves value between 11,500 banks, turned on a live blockchain ledger with 17 of them, and Circle walked out of the OCC with final approval for a national trust bank. The hunger math ran the other way. A collapsed ceasefire revived the 45 million person hunger warning, and the IMF trimmed global growth to 3%. And the giving came from everywhere at once. An XRP windfall worth $154 million in grants, a $100 million bet on city parks, and a $5 million sprint at childhood hunger. Let me start with the build. Wyoming's DUNA law had a spotlight week. Investing News Network profiled how the framework gives DAOs real legal standing and how we use it to run cause coins with obligations attached. The Eat Card beta stays open while the iOS app finishes Apple review. It is Visa Debit, FDIC insured through a regulated bank partner, no crypto knowledge required, and every swipe feeds the mission. Our docs live at the WYDE Hub, and the Crypto Altruists conversation with Aaron and Martin is still the best explainer of why we built any of this. You can join the Eat Card beta anytime. Now to the hunger math, which got louder. The Iran ceasefire broke down, oil jumped, and the World Food Program scenario in which 45 million more people slip into hunger came back onto the table. The IMF answered by trimming 2026 global growth to 3%, which means food aid gets more expensive exactly when more people need it. Alongside that, Feeding America and 250 nonprofits opened a $5 million push on childhood hunger. A celebrity dream pantry auction and a $2.5 million match ran alongside it, and we signed the declaration. There was more in hunger and food. The largest food as medicine study of food banks found 14% fewer hospitalizations across 161,000 households in 13 states, and the groceries did what prescriptions keep promising. New York opened $10 million in food bank infrastructure grants for cold storage, trucks, and loading docks, with applications closing August 20th. California's Food Bank Association became California Food Banks after 30 years, 43 member banks feeding a network of nearly 6,000 community organizations. Pet food is becoming a food bank staple. Arizona demand hit records, and more than 113 Feeding America banks now stock it. The IMF cut 2026 global growth to 3% over the Iran energy shock, with oil up 32% landing on food prices first. Trump declined to renew USMCA, putting North American food trade on annual review, with yearly check-ins until 2036 for the continent's grocery supply chain. And PepsiCo neared 5 million regenerative acres as Kit Kats test region wheat, a sign big food is normalizing the supply-side fix. Then the giving ledger filled up. Chris Larson's Rippleworks gave a record $154 million in its latest filing year, up from $40 million the cycle before, with an endowment now near $2.5 billion. Crypto wealth is quietly becoming one of philanthropy's biggest new engines, and that is the exact bridge we exist to build. The Bezos Earth Fund put $100 million into parks across 8 U.S. cities, from 600 vacant parcels in Cleveland to a 16-acre quarry in Sioux Falls. The fund is treating green space like hard infrastructure. $100 million in round 2 on the way to $400 million. There was more in giving. America 250 launched, giving forth to make July 4th a national day of giving, with 8 ball drops in Times Square and Giving Tuesday keeping score. Foundations expect to give more in 2026, but the payout stays pinned at 5%, so the legal floor still works like a ceiling. Big Philanthropy put $40 million in open calls behind public good work for the AI era, with real deadlines live now. AI agents are starting to make their own charitable donations, small dollars so far, brand new plumbing. A $1.65 million fund run by Native Youth closes applications July 14th, and the grantmakers are the kids themselves. A Walton-backed nonprofit fund brought recycling venture capital to Arkansas, with checks up to $500,000 and returns rolling back into the fund. A Minnesota creator turned random acts of kindness into millions for strangers, and the trust questions arrived with the money. Summer Games done quick. Opened a week of speedruns for Doctors Without Borders. After last year's run raised $2.4 million. The IRC urged tech companies to put AI to work for 118 million displaced people, with its signpost tool already reaching 20 million. And Trump accounts went live on July 4th with $1,000 deposits for newborns, with more than 6 million accounts in scope. Next, the rails got their papers. SWIFT switched on its shared blockchain ledger with 17 banks across 6 continents piloting tokenized payments. This is the system that moves the equivalent of world GDP every couple of days, and it went from concept to live in 9 months. Circle won final OCC approval to open a national trust bank for USDC, going from conditional to chartered in about 7 months, with $77 billion in circulation behind it. There was more on the rails. Sony Bank won conditional OCC approval for a U.S. stablecoin trust bank, with Connectia Trust joining the charter wave. The SEC set a July target for regulation crypto, its first major crypto rule, covering exemptions, limited fundraising, and a safe harbor. A merged Clarity Act draft may drop next week, and Democrats hold the key, with floor time eyed for the week of July 20th. The Clarity Act missed its July 4th signing target, with 3 Senate weeks left and the odds sliding. Stablecoin volume hit a record $1.79 trillion in June, per Visa data, and the first half already beat all of 2024. Strategy sold 3,588 Bitcoin and disclosed an $8.32 billion quarterly loss, the flywheel running backward for a quarter. Klarna applied for a U.S. bank charter to move beyond buy now, pay later, which would give 30 million U.S. users a real bank. Standard Chartered became the first global bank to offer USDC minting, with institutional mint and redeem through one onboarding. ESMA added 37 crypto firms to the MICA register in its first post-deadline update, and the licensed era is filling in. Samsung and Upbit pushed back on OpenUSD's 140 firm consortium claims, because the receipts matter on the rails too. And Vitalik Buterin unveiled Lean Ethereum, the biggest rebuild since the merge, with quantum-safe cryptography and privacy as a first-class goal. Then the receipts came due. California, Colorado, Kentucky, and New Jersey are asking for $1.4 trillion at an August trial over child social media addiction, a demand about the size of Meta itself. That number is worth sitting with. Block will pay $45 million to 46 states over Cash App fraud failures. Live phone support becomes mandatory, and fraud-baiting marketing has to stop. There were more receipts. BonkDAO lost $20 million after an attacker bought the vote for $4.4 million. So governance is a security surface now. News publishers asked a judge to sanction OpenAI over hidden ChatGPT evidence, with billions of outputs deleted after a preservation order per the filing. A BC News says influencer Lily J's charity videos used AI-generated footage, and verification is becoming the trust layer for giving. Americans traded $571 million on polymarket political bets despite the U.S. ban, which is a speed bump, not a wall. The Supreme Court let Texas enforce its App Store age verification law, moving age checks to the store level. The IRS named abusive charitable remainder annuity trust schemes as listed transactions, so charity as a tax shelter just got expensive to hide. And Anthropic moved to close the loopholes Chinese firms used to reach Claude, with Alibaba's workplace ban on Claude tools taking effect July 10th. The frontier kept moving too. A transducer under the chin, an hour of training, and Aleph reports 95% accuracy on a 20-phrase set, with open vocabulary results that generalize to new speakers. The assistive speech race now has a non-surgical lane. There was more from the frontier. A founder sequenced his own genome at home and published the full protocol, about $7,500 in gear and 2 months of patience. Google is testing a Gemini feature that orders food inside Google Maps, as agentic commerce keeps moving into the apps you already open. And the UN opened its first global AI governance summit in Geneva. All 193 member states, with a child safety pledge by the close. Now for Eat by the Numbers. Meals funded nearly 60,000 against the next milestone of 100,000. That is the number we actually measure, and it only moves one direction. As for the token, ETH sat at a fraction of a cent, with a market cap around $1.8 million, roughly $680,600 in liquidity, and about 1,200 holders, all as of July 2nd per Gecko terminal. Every trade and every swipe routes 25% of the fee to hunger relief, and every dollar that reaches that bucket creates 5 meals through our Feed the Children partnership. One more thing on joining us. We are accepting new cardholders into the EAT Card beta right now, ahead of the public launch. If you create, our creator program pays on verified results, not follower count. And if you run a business, the cause card extends to business spend too. You can get on the beta list anytime. The system got its papers this week, and the warnings got louder in the same 7 days. Our whole job is making sure the money that just went official keeps finding the people the warnings are about. Worth watching. Onward, the WYDE team.